Hi, I'm Bill Driscoll Jr. with All Hands Volunteers. Thanks for watching this presentation. Today, we're going to explore the theory, a blueprint, and the actions that we're taking and plan to take during field operations. Part 1, we're going to explore the basics of how we coordinate our volunteers internally. This is taken from a course that we use to train team leaders. Our team leader overview includes an overview of our standard, what we call workflow. There's two types of services that we provide in the field. Direct services, which is a physical service. Example would be clearing debris after an earthquake. And that's versus indirect services, which is a referral. Here you can think verbal versus physical work. So disaster survivor, you should call this person to get the service that you're in need of. Here's a basic overview of our direct service delivery and what that looks like. How we get the requests in the hands of team leaders for action in the field. So this, like a lot of the presentation today, is going to focus on the relationship and communication between the volunteer coordinator and the team leaders, as it's a pretty good way to understand how we operate in the field with our volunteers. So the volunteer coordinator knows that they have team leaders that are ready to go and need to know where to go to help the community that they're in. The volunteer coordinator goes to the database, pulls up a file, pulls up the hard copy of that file of someone that needs assistance, and transfers that paper copy to our team leader. The team leader takes that clipboard and request and brings the team of volunteers into the field to the site to perform the work that is requested. At the end of the day, or when that particular site's been completed, the team leader makes updates to the form in terms of how many volunteers were on site, the work that they were able to do, and if there were some things or additional needs they weren't able to meet. The volunteer coordinator takes that, updates the database, and files away the hard copy paper files. And this cycle repeats itself until each request is met, or we've taken it as far as we can. Oftentimes, our volunteers may go out to a site to clear trees after a tornado, but the homeowner is in a real financial need. So we can very easily, most of the time, take care of the tree need, but at that point we may not be able to help them with their financial need or something else. So the key takeaways here are that we use a database and hard file system to track incoming needs from the community and our progress to meet those needs. That process between the team leaders, volunteers, and volunteer coordinator is part of an overall larger system. So to answer the natural question, how do we know who to help? How do we know where to send volunteers? Look at this diagram now, this overall workflow. Requests may come in from a 211 or a helpline service that community members know to call because they saw it in the media, or, as is the case of many times on project, a team of volunteers may be working at one house when a neighbor stops by and asks how they can receive assistance as well. So the needs come in and they are funneled to our base of operations. Sometimes we call this a Recovery Coordination Center, or RCC. Requests for assistance are added to the database and the hard file system. Like you saw earlier, the work request coordinator then has access to that database and hard file and starts the cycle to get the direct service delivery to that client that needs the help. As that cycle is completed, we update the database and hard files. And some of the reasons that we do this are we're able to report back to the referral agency or the helpline that let us know of a particular need. And this is pretty important in the grand scheme of things because we're able to issue situation reports in terms of our impact and what we're doing, And as things move toward long-term recovery, as our organization predominantly is involved in early term, we're able to transfer our records in terms of who we've helped and how we helped them. It can be pretty important in the long term. So at the top you see the intake, the direct service delivery cycle, and again the centralized records so that we can track the volunteer hours, the work completed, the work that's still outstanding, and provide timely updates and share information because it's all tracked. Part 2, challenging ourselves and answering the call of 2.0.